coffee shop around. Lead Dog Espresso. I don't know if you'll be able to see it coming up here, but look at the fireweed. The fireweed has topped out. That's not good. That means we could be 6 weeks until winter over here. Not the greatest weather day for a road trip, but it'll do. Alright, here's Sheep Creek Lodge, where you can come get some good food. And right here, just past where this SUV is, right there, is where they have a farmer's market on Thursdays, I believe. Well, this is fun. Raining pretty good. Stuck behind some slow vehicles. But at least I have some beef jerky. Still raining. We are in Broad Pass, heading north. Alright, still in Broad Pass, but the rain has finally stopped. Finally. It's also still stuck behind slow cars. So here's a fun spot. The highway used to swoop over to the right there. That wasn't a bridge right here. And what we're doing is going over the railroad tracks, I believe. Yep, there's the railroad tracks. So the highway used to go down there where the railroad tracks are. And sorry I'm moving you guys around, but I want to show you, and then it would go up over here. So I remember this this crossing, and it's about time that they put a bridge over it. I don't know how long ago this was done, but back in the day when I would drive buses for the cruise lines, we had to stop. So the road went down there and crossed the railroad tracks at grade, and we were required to stop there and listen for trains. Even though you could see for forever down there, we still were required to stop and listen for the trains. And man, would it irritate other folks on the highway. So they would often go blowing past us as we were stopped there, as we were legally required to at that crossing, because we were tour buses full of people, and that was quite dangerous. So I am glad that now they've got a bridge over the tracks there, so current bus drivers don't have to worry about that. Also, look how gorgeous, even with the cloud cover, Broad Pass is looking right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's looking pretty cool. Frost TV here. You guys can see the waves in the road. The GoPro's going to be smoothing them out for a lot of them. This is what you get up here in Alaska. Alright, we're about to roll through Cantwell. One of these days I'm gonna come take a trip up the Denali Highway, but that is not the goal of today's trip. much going on in the old Cantwell here. There's an old lodge and gas station there. It's not open for business anymore. Here's the turn off to the Denali Highway. So if you go right there, you can cross all the way over and get on the Richardson. Like I said, one of these days I'm going to make that trip, but not today. And then here is the gas station. This used to be a Chevron. Back when I used to drive buses up here, it actually burned down and then was out of business for a while. But they've rebuilt it sometime in the last few years, which is nice. All right, keep on pushing north. Finally got around that motorhome. Had some audio issues with the GoPro. I think that's why I'm gonna be getting rid of this GoPro and my other one. I may keep them to use for on the dashboard mount, like you see right there. But these things are just buggy and unreliable, and yeah, I'm just not having a good time filming with the GoPros. But I need something that's got really good image stabilization, because I have something called essential tremor, so my hands shake a lot. So the problem with getting a real camera for me is I can't hold the camera that steady, whereas an action cam like this has obviously pretty good image stabilization, so you don't really see it. Yeah, so that's why I kind of want to stick with an action cam format, or I need to get a real camera that has really excellent in-body image stabilization, which those cameras are quite expensive, so I don't think I'm going to be getting one of those. Fun fact, here is the Denali Park Village. This is the primary hotel where we stayed at when I worked for Royal Caribbean the last 2 summers I worked up here, in 2011 and 2012. You know what that means? We are only 10 minutes away from the tourist part of Denali National Park. Six miles. Try not to drive on the rumble strips. Yeah, I'll let you look at the scenery out there for a minute while I keep rambling on. So I'm considering getting the DJI action cam. I can't remember what they call it, but they're supposed to be really good and not have a lot of these problems that the GoPros are having. This GoPro that this clip is being filmed on is a GoPro Hero 12 Black, and it just, yeah, I just have lots of problems with both of my GoPros. I have a Hero 10 Black and a Hero 12 Black, and they both suck. So we'll probably be picking up a DJI cam at some point to take the place of these GoPros. The other unfortunate part is I own a lot of GoPro accessories. So a bunch of extra batteries and the media mod, which is on this GoPro right now, which is what this Hollyland microphone is plugged in with. And I hate feeling like I wasted that much money on these GoPros, because it's between the two GoPros and all the accessories, it's probably like $900, maybe $800. I think I paid $300 each for these GoPros. And then cases and accessories and stuff. Some of this stuff I'll be able to reuse on another camera, but not all of it. Oh well, it is what it is. Look at the views going into Denali here. It's gorgeous. Yeah, the other hotel that we used to drop off here for Royal Caribbean is that one way up there on the hill. Hope you guys can see it. It's that green roofs up there, way up on the top. There's a windy switchbacky road that you've got to take to go up there. And I never stayed there because we would just drop off and then drive back to the Denali Park Village to stay in the housing there. But that's the other hotel that we would drop off at here. Alright, we have successfully stopped to use the outhouse, so we will continue on through town here. We're going to be getting into what we always called Glitter Gulch. This was my favorite spot, which was the Bake. I don't know if you guys can see it right there, that old restaurant. Unfortunately, it did not survive COVID shutdowns, so it's closed, but you can see there's a bunch of gift shops and there's several hotels off to the left. There was the Denali Princess Lodge, and then coming up here we've got another hotel on the left whose name is escaping me, and then there's even more gift shops and restaurants and things over on the right. Oh, they renamed this one. It's now called the Denali, the Holland America Denali Lodge. Interesting. I can't remember what this one was called. This is where we would drop off the Holland America guests, but it was not called that when I used to work up here. It's called something else. Anywho, we are going to be driving through the canyon here up towards Healy out of the park area and following the Nenana River for a while. Also, it's like 10 degrees warmer now than it was for most of the drive through the storms back there. It's 64 outside now, and suddenly I was like, I need to turn the air conditioning on. Alright, we're going to come up on the Nenana River Bridge here in a minute. Bridge is kind of fun. They used to have a windsock on the bridge. I don't know if they still do. Yeah, there's no windsock on it anymore. But back when I would drive down through here 10, 15 years ago, here's the bridge. You can kind of see the gulch down there for the river, plus the railroad tracks. Yeah, they used to have a windsock on the bridge there because, man, the wind can just get bad going through the Nenana River Gorge there. And so the windsock could give you an idea if the wind was blowing real hard across the bridge or not. But I don't see a windsock there anymore. Anyway, another fun thing is the highway between here and Healy has traditionally been pretty terrible. So we'll see if it continues to be so. It was always a good spot to talk to the guests about the perils of, whoa, that was a bad spot, the perils of frost heaves and stuff. So we'll see if it continues to hold true or not. I'll stick you guys up on the dash so I don't have to keep holding you, and we will see. The road's not too bad so far. Here, it might get a little sporty up here. Never mind. Like, I know we passed over some heavy spots back there in like Broad Pass and stuff, but when I worked for Royal Caribbean, rarely did I transport guests through there. There was only a handful of tours where I was actually driving guests through the pass. Most of the time they were on the train. So it was a lot more common to pick guests up in Denali off the train, and then they would ride the motor coach up to Fairbanks. So that happened a lot more often than me having to transport the guests through Broad Pass. So like I said, that section between Denali, especially the Nenana River Bridge, and Healy up here, back then anyway, was usually a good spot to talk about frost heaving because the highway was always really bad through there, but not too terrible this year. And there was only a couple of big whoopties back there, and that was it. So about to roll into Healy here in a minute, and then we're going to continue on north towards Fairbanks. Alright guys, we are on the Elliott Highway now, continuing to head north, and oh my gosh, there's an entire hill out there covered in pink, which means it's covered in fireweed, and you guys probably can't see it, but I can see it. Ooh, this road is sporty, but I know why that hill looked all pink, and it's because it all burned down, and there probably was enough time for some fireweed to sprout up after the fire was out. So I've been catching glimpses of it. I don't think it's going to look as good once we get up there, but that would be why it looked pink from a distance. We are 170 miles from the Arctic Circle sign, which is where I'm headed to today. Never been up this far. So this is all new territory for me. One time in 2009, me and a buddy tried to come up here once, but his car had trouble, so we ended up turning around and going back. Yeah, should be fun. I don't know if I'm gonna stay at the campground. There's a BLM campground right there. So I don't know if I'm gonna stay at the campground or if I'm just gonna turn around and start heading back into town and then just nap in my truck when I get tired and then drive all the way back home. I haven't decided yet. I brought enough stuff to sleep in the back of the truck if I feel like it, but I'm gonna have to empty a couple things out that I didn't want to leave back at the trailer, and so we'll see what I'm feeling like when I get up here, how late it is, if it's raining, stuff like that. Still going on the Elliott Highway, but up ahead there, going up the hill, you see that cut through the trees. That's the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. And you can even see a part of it that is above ground once we get around the corner here, hopefully. Yep. And then you can see it goes underground to go up and over the hill. See if I can get you guys a better view of it. Sorry, the road is it's a little sporty, so the car and the GoPro are bouncing up and down. Hopefully you guys can see it. If you can't see it, then this clip will never make it into the video, but I bet you can. Hey, there it is. Cool. The pipeline and the highway don't always travel next to each other, but they do generally go in the same direction, at least. We're both headed north eventually to Prudhoe Bay, but there are points where the pipeline deviates far from where the highway is, and then there are parts where they travel pretty close to each other. Fire area here, going up and over the hill. This looks older, so not this year. Does not look fresh. Forest fires. Last time I checked the Alaska Fire Info website, about 1 million acres had burned in the state. Which I think is I don't know if that's, I want to say that's about a normal fire year. Could be worse than normal, but I seem to recall, my brain wants to say that we would tell the guests that 1 million acres would burn in Alaska every year. So I don't know, it's like the size of the state of Delaware or something like that. I'll have to fact check that. Fact check, true or false, is that fake news? I don't know, I don't remember, but it's a big area that burns in Alaska every year. So yeah, more forest fire. I just realized something. Not all of this highway is paved, and I only brought one pair of boots. I don't have the bin in the back of my truck that has my muck boots. So all I'm wearing is my pair of low ankle high Merrill boots. So yeah, hopefully we don't have to do too much mud trekking today. Stop for a quick stretch break in this parking area. You can see somebody had horses here recently, just off the Elliott Highway. Not much to it. Here's the old Tundra, but I also wanted to show you guys my new toy. Check it out. That is a Starlink Minnie that I bought a few weeks ago specifically for these kinds of trips. And I got it because it uses a lot less power than my full-size Starlink does. That thing's using like 20 to 30 watts, and it's been great. But also, my full-size Starlink is now tied to a residential plan on the property. And I got in, they had some open slots for the discounted $90 a month residential plan. So I wanted to get the dish set on that, and I don't want to take it off. So for me, I think is worth it, especially with the lower power requirement of the Starlink Mini, to just pick one up, because now I can just run it off of the car's cigarette lighter, because the cable is really skinny, so I can get it through the door. And I just have my little EcoFlow power station plugged into the cigarette lighter, and the car can keep ahead of keeping the power station charged. So I'll be able to use the Starlink Mini at night and on the way home and on trips like this, and be able to recharge it with just the car the next day, so I won't have to mess around with the solar panel that I had mounted to these bars on the trip up, because like I said, this uses a lot less power. All right, so as you can see here, I've got the Starlink Mini. I bought a third-party USB Type-C cable for it, so I just have it plugged in to the power station here, and it's currently using 20 watts. So this power station will run it for 35 hours or so. And then I've got the power station plugged into my cigarette lighter there, and it can recharge at about 50 watts. So yeah, pretty happy with this setup. And I also should be able to run my Bouge RV little 12-volt fridge I've got here at the same time. I don't have it turned on right now because there's nothing in there. But I should be able to run both of them off of this power station, and the car be able to keep ahead of keeping this battery station charged. So yeah, that's my new toy, and so far I've been pretty happy with it. I've just got it on the 50 gigabyte per month plan, but I also opted into overage, to data overage charges. So after 50 gigs, it'll charge you, what is it, $10 per gigabyte, I think. So we'll see. We'll see how much data I end up using on it on little trips like this, and how much I use on the way home. But I think that'll still be worth it versus putting it on the $165 a month roam plan. Anyway, I'm gonna get back in the truck and keep on heading north. I also just want to say it is warm up here in the interior. Yeah, it's like 60, upper 60s, and it feels just a lot warmer. When I left Willow to drive up here, Willow was in the 50s and it was raining, but as you can see up here, it's gorgeous and warm. All right, I don't know if it's just this section that doesn't have pavement or if we've left the pavement for good. I thought that this highway was paved all the way till we get to the Dalton, which is still in a few miles, but maybe not. Regardless, it's pretty dry, although I'm seeing vehicles headed back the other way that are just covered in Dalton Highway grime. So this should be fun. I'm not looking forward to washing my truck when I go into town on Monday. But it is what it is. Such a nice day. Also, this U-Haul keeps stopping, and then I keep stopping, and it passes me, so then I get stuck behind it again. So we've just been leapfrogging back and forth, me and this U-Haul. It's kind of fun. Look at all that black spruce. Aha! We do still have some pavement. We are officially on the Dalton Highway. Like I said before, I've never been this far north, so I can't say I've never driven on the Dalton Highway. And we just hit the end of the pavement like maybe you saw on that sign back there. I've got you guys mounted up on the dash, so sorry if it's a little wobbly. Yeah, pretty exciting. It's gonna be dirt for the next 115 miles until we get to the Arctic Circle. And I am gonna stop. There is a Dalton Highway sign up here, so I am gonna stop at that and we'll take some photos and I'll show that to you guys, and then we'll keep on trucking. One thing to note about this road is it is intended for the heavy haul trucking and the operations for the pipeline and Prudhoe Bay. So we are likely to see a lot of trucks on this road, and yeah, so just be on the lookout for those. Anyway, I'm at the Dalton Highway sign, so we are gonna take a quick photo. Alright guys, didn't take you with me. I grabbed a photo of the truck and the sign. I had to park a little bit further away because there was some folks there. But yeah, I'll show you the picture of the photo of the truck and the sign, and now we're back on the road again. I should note, I fully expect to pick up at least one rock chip on this little adventure. Hopefully not, but this highway is notorious for that. Woo, just had a guy go by that was towing a pop-up camper, like a tent trailer. Just coated in Dalton Highway grossness. I don't think you would ever get me to tow something that I cared about up this highway. Not from the stories that I've heard. I'm okay driving my truck, but there's no way that I would bring an RV up this road. Maybe as far north as the Arctic Circle sign, but anything past that, there's no way that I am going to tow a shoddily made RV any further up this road than I have to. Check it out, guys. We found some more pavement. Woo! Maybe we'll have pavement for a while. I know that parts of the Dalton are paved. I don't know how much of it. Apparently this much. Although this much is wet, and it's gonna get my truck real dirty because it's also very muddy. Also, look at how that tanker truck in front of me is bouncing on these frost heaves. Oh boy. Yeah, my truck has currently got some red mist attached to it. We'll see how dirty it is by the time I get to the Arctic Circle. Got 77 miles to get there still, and the speed limit on the entire Dalton Highway is only 50, and I've been doing less than that, especially when I've just been chilling behind this tanker truck, because whenever he goes slow enough for me to want to pass him, it hasn't been good passing, and then he speeds way up on stuff like this, so I've been content to just not go around him. Yeah, anyway, found some pavement. 76 miles to go. One interesting thing about the Dalton so far is my truck is white. You know, it's pretty nondescript. It's base model. It's got a cap. I've got a Starlink on the roof. I've got a couple of cameras and stuff on the dash. So I've been getting lots of waves from all the truckers and stuff. Because I think they think that I'm up here working. So it's been kind of fun. Don't know if you guys can see the views out there, But, oh, you can see for a long ways up here. Look at that. God, I love Alaska. Been seeing quite a few fishing boats heading the other way. We are not too far away from the Yukon River crossing, actually. So I'll try and show that to you guys. But yeah, seen a number of campers going the other way. Just had a little crew of overlander-y type vehicles, and then a number of fishing boats, all headed back the other direction. Right, there it is, fam. It's my first glimpse of the Yukon River in... When did we drive out here? Was it 2017? I can't remember. But it was one of the trips we did 7 or 8 years ago, where we went off top of the World Highway and crossed the Yukon River at Dawson. But I used to go to the Yukon River all the time when I worked for Holland America in 2008, 2009, driving up the Taylor Highway to Eagle, Alaska from Fairbanks, and did that trip twice a week, every week, for 2 years. 2 summers, I should say. So saw a lot of the Yukon River then. Got a little glimpse of it 7 or 8 years ago. And ooh, we're about to cross over the pipeline. There goes the pipeline. Don't know if you guys saw that. Look at that river. Oh, so gorgeous. All right, we're gonna be down to the crossing here in just a minute. Arctic Circle, 60 miles, cold foot 120, and I missed what it said for Prudhoe, for Dead Horse. But 60 miles to our destination today. There's the pipeline again, and we're gonna go over the same bridge. Cool. Cool. Look, there's a boater down there, probably out salmon fishing. Wooden decked bridge. Show you guys out this side. Here's the Yukon River. Sorry for moving you around so much. And there's the pipeline. And we're on the other side of the river. Well, that was fun. Still trucking along, got about 34 miles. Here's a motorhome that somebody bounced up this road. And here's the DOT that is currently scraping the highway. Looks like they put down a fresh layer of dirt. And he's probably gonna go along and scrape it. Go by him. Oh, that was fun. Yeah, they're putting down a fresh layer of dirt. It's been, they've been doing that in a few places back there. It got quite muddy there for a minute. But overall, the condition of the road's been pretty good. Can't really complain. It's not, is it pavement highway smooth? No. Have there been potholes and washboard? Yeah. And muddy sections. But overall, the highway's been in pretty damn good condition, in my opinion. All right, stopped for a quick bathroom and stretch break. And just wandering down here to look at the view. We're about 20 miles from the Arctic Circle. Just look at it out here. This place really is in the middle of nowhere. Like, you think the Alaska Highway feels remote until you've been on the Dalton Highway. We're not even to the most remote part of it yet. Anyway, there's a cool little hiking trail here with some signs that I'm going to check out. Apparently it's Finger Mountain at 97.5. It's the mile marker. Let you guys pause the video to read that if you want. And we're gonna go hike up to it over here. Looks like you've got some signs talking about local flora. Oh, and if you look right over there, you can see a yellow cat in its natural habitat. Here's a sign talking about the caribou, scariest animal in the Arctic, because it's caribou. Yeah, it came with the dad bus driver jokes. Here's one of the many trucks that haul equipment and products and liquids up and down the Dalton. I also don't know if you guys have noticed, but there are no longer any tall trees, really. This is the tallest thing around right here, and I would say it's about 10 feet tall, but there's no tall trees to speak of. We are north of the tree line here. That's kind of cool. Wow, look at this. I've only been this far north once, and it was in 2009 when we were driving the tours over top of the World Highway to Dawson in the Yukon, because there was a big flood in Eagle and the boat that the guests normally took needed to get repaired and stuff. And while I was there, I took a trip out to Tombstone Territorial Park out of Dawson. We went way up into the interior of the Yukon, and it looked just like this. I don't know if that was any further north than here, but I remember being north of the tree line. Pretty cool, guys. Let's look at the views. See the highway and the Alaska pipeline down there. The pipeline is underground down there. And we're still walking around this trail right here. I've been skipping all these signs. They're just talking about the animals and the local flora. But I want to get up here and see the views and the history signs. Oh, I don't know if you guys noticed. So this right here is fireweed, and you can see at least this far north, it's gone. Like, it's gonna be turning the bright red soon. No more petals on this fireweed up here. Right here you can see one that's going red down here. Winter's coming. about the river. And then the National Wildlife Refuge. Let you guys pause to read the signs if you want. There's the view again. I'm just taking this in one long clip, so sorry if the camera's swinging around a lot. Now I'm going to hike up to the finger, which is right there. One more informational sign, big one sign up here. There's more little signs right there. Look how cool the landscape is right here. Sorry my shadow's in the way, but that just looks so cool. I have to come back to right here and take a couple photos with my phone. Here we are. Talk about the finger rock. I think that's magma rock. And there it is. Little path here. Maybe we'll walk up there. And this rock's got a gorgeous view. You can just look out there. And Alaska is just so awesome. All right, I'm gonna come down here and take a few photos and then head back down to the truck. So I'll see you guys down there. All right, getting back to the truck. Ew, look how dirty my truck is, guys. Remember how I was mentioning that I was like, my truck's not that dirty yet. Yeah, this is the Dalton Highway grime that just gets on everything. This will be fun to wash off. All right, back on the road. A fun old abandoned camp of some sort. Camp, homestead, something for the pipeline workers. I don't know, considering the pipeline's like right there. If anybody's ever wanted to see the pipeline, just come drive the highway, you'll get your fill of it. Anyway, we are 20 minutes from the Arctic Circle sign, and then I'm going to decide what I want to do. So there is, I think I mentioned it in another clip, a BLM campground near the Arctic Circle sign. And that my original intention was to sleep in the back of my truck there. But in order to sleep in the back of my truck, I have to basically climb up and over the tailgate. And I don't know if you guys saw the condition of my tailgate, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. So I'll probably just turn around and head back south, and when I get tired I will nap in the truck and just head back to the trailer. If I had to do it over again, I would have grabbed a cheap tent before I left town so that I could have still slept at the campground and just slept in a tent instead of the back of my truck. But I didn't really give thought to just how dirty the back of my truck was going to be. And I knew that my truck was going to get dirty on this highway. I just didn't think about it good enough. Should have grabbed a tent back in town, because I think I didn't bring any tent or camping stuff, because my original intention for this whole Alaska trip was to be tugging my trailer around everywhere. But since those plans have changed, I'm wishing that I had brought like my spring bar and my cot, because that would have made it a lot more comfortable to go on like little random camping trips. But don't have those up here, so I think what I'm going to do when I get back into town, or next time I go into town this week, or maybe after I get back from my trip home, because I am flying back to Utah for a week here in a few days. Yeah, I'm flying home next week, a week from today actually, and so maybe I'll buy my tent after I get back, but we'll see. So the whole point of that was, I think I'm not going to be staying up here at the Arctic Circle. I'm going to be turning around and heading back and just sleeping in my truck when I get too tired. So this will be a long, long drive day. Fortunately, it's still staying light, especially this far north. It's going to stay light later than down in Willow, but even in Willow, it's staying light until, sorry, there was a big pothole that I didn't see till the last minute. Staying light until light-ish until right around midnight. So it being light means that I am not actually all that tired, even though it is 8:45, and this is about the time I'm usually going to bed. So yeah, turning around and driving back, I think, is the plan. Unfortunately, I just don't want to deal with trying to sleep in the back of my truck with how dirty it is. And there's stuff back there that I was like, oh, I'll just haul it out and set it outside or something. But with the rain and stuff, I don't think I want to do that either. All right, we're only 8.8 miles away, so I'll see you guys when I get there. All right, guys. This is the famous beaver slide. Probably a little less hairy in the summertime than it is in the winter, but that's what this downhill is called. It's the beaver slide. And I'm just gonna ease my way down behind this semi-truck. Still going. I'm all the way down into first gear, because in second gear I kept catching up to the truck and having to brake. So rather than do that, I geared down to first gear so I could just throttle up a bit and then let the engine slow me down. Been a couple of really gnarly potholes, so whenever I see that semi-truck dodge something, I make sure to go in the same direction he's going, because some of those potholes were pretty gnarly. All right, we're almost down to the bottom. Whoa, it's getting a little slippery. There's a few of these paved sections through here too. I think I showed one earlier, but these are the worst. I'd rather that stay dirt, because there are some, once again, gnarly potholes in these little paved sections. And they just need to grind it up and put it back in dirt, because a couple of those were rough. All right, here we are, Arctic Circle, BLM. Woohoo! No camping or overnight parking, at least right here. Hey, this is probably that U-Haul that I kept leapfrogging. Alright guys, here we are. Made it to the Arctic Circle. This is definitely the furthest north that I've been, because that trip into Tombstone Territorial Park out of Dawson, we didn't get up to the Arctic Circle. At least I don't think we did. Yeah, here we are. It's just a nice little BLM parking lot. There was another, that U-Haul that I kept leapfrogging was here, and it was a bunch of guys in it from northern Idaho. They're coming up here for a caribou hunt. So I waited to film until they left. Yeah, you've got a couple of bathrooms and some picnic areas. No camping sign. They don't want you camping in this parking lot, but there is a campground up the road. Yeah, here's the Arctic Circle, guys. Do you want to know what the Arctic Circle comes with? 1 million mosquitoes. And I didn't bring any DEET. Let's go over here and I will give you guys a look at the signs. The informational signs here, so you guys can pause the video and read these if you want. That sign about summer. This one over here is about spring. And one assumes that this one over here is about winter. It sure is. And then this one over here is about fall. All right, so I got the guys to take a photo of me in front of the sign, but I'm going to move my truck over so I can get a good photo of the truck next to the sign, and then we are going to head back south because it is far too mosquito-y to hang out here for too long. All right guys, got my photo of the truck. I'll show it in the video. And that's it. A couple of little no-see-em type gnat things got in here, but no mosquitoes that I see, I don't think. But all right, that's it. So I'm gonna head back south. So not gonna probably video it much because you guys got a lot of video coming up north this direction, but I'll check in with you guys as I head south and we'll see how it goes. I'll probably end up stopping to take at least a couple of naps on the way, I think. Right, that up there is the beaver slide from the bottom side. It goes straight up the hill. Alright guys, just checking in. We have officially left the Dalton Highway and we are now on the Elliott Highway again. It is about midnight. Still just a hair bit of light in the sky, but definitely need the headlights. Started needing the headlights at about 11, I would say. So yeah, things are going good. 6 hours and 15 minutes until I get back to where the trailer's at Bill's house. And we'll see if I go all the way through or if I need to stop and take a break. Feeling pretty good so far. We'll see how I feel when I get into Fairbanks to get gas. But so far, doing pretty good. I'll check in with you guys when we get closer to town. Alright, good morning guys. I just decided to get up and get moving at about 12:15, 12:20 or so. I found this big pullout because I started getting a little sleepy, and grabbed my pillows that I had with me and just conked out here in the driver's seat of the truck for about 4 hours. So it is 5 minutes after 4 a.m. and so we are going to get back on the road, and I have about 5 hours and 45 minutes to get back to the trailer, where I'll probably sleep for another couple hours. But anyway, let's get back on the road. Here's the total damage for the inReach for the entire trip. 942.5 miles. I averaged 55 miles an hour, and that included my 4-hour nap where I was stopped. Although I think that just tracks the moving speed. So I don't think it averages the speed when you're stopped. But yeah, 942.5 miles in about 24 hours. And here's the final condition of the truck. It actually looks a lot cleaner now because it rained really hard driving between Fairbanks. Well, I guess it was just sprinkling in Fairbanks, but just between Healy basically and Trapper Creek. It just rained and rained and rained and rained. Back of the truck is still filthy disgusting, but the rest of the side's not too bad. And it also, the water splashing up from the tires cleaned off my running boards, so I was able to actually use them without tracking a ton of mud inside the truck. All right, let's check on the trailer. All my stuff is still here, yay. Because Bill is actually gone for 2 weeks. I'm not going to show you guys my code, so I'll cut this out. All right. Let's see if we have any power. Whoop, hit my head. Hey, light turned on. Go to the tablet here. Double tap it to turn it on, and we have 96%. We are currently charging with solar, yay. All right, fam, obviously back at the trailer now, and I am super tired, and I need to get some stuff out of my truck and get my trailer put back together, get the power system fully turned back on and stuff. So we're gonna end the video here, and then I might take a nap. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you have any questions, share this video with all of your friends, and we will catch you guys in the next one.